Good afternoon, dear students. This is Dr. Pratibha K.S., Head Department of Biotechnology at Kelly Society's S. Nijlingappa College, Rajashinagar, Bengaluru. Today, our Department of Biotechnology students presenting a seminar talk on translation and post-translation modification. Now, I request Ms. Sona and Ms. Ruchita to present their seminar talk. Over to Sona.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, one and all present. I, Sona from second year CZBT, is now here to present a seminar topic on translation. So next slide. So in today's class, we'll learn about the written topics like site of transcription and translation, post-transcriptional modification, genetic code, translation. In translation, we are going to learn about introduction, brief about the required elements. Next slide. Prokaryotic translation, eukaryotic translation, similarities between prokaryotic and eukaryotic translation, and also the differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic translation. Next slide. And also we'll study about, in brief, post-translational modification. Next slide. So now we'll do a quick recap. So cell, as you know that it is a basic structural, functional, and biological unit of all known organisms. Based on number of cells, organisms are divided into prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotic cell has single cell and there are no membrane-bound nucleus. But in eukaryotes, there are multi-celled membrane-bound nucleus is present. Both undergo a similar process of life, that is the central dogma, from DNA to RNA, RNA to proteins. In the first step, DNA to DNA, this step is called replication. DNA to RNA, this is called transcription. RNA to protein is called translation. All these steps are nearly similar in both, but differ in some factors involved. So in DNA replication, there is a production of two identical replicas of DNA from original DNA. Similarities are both the progresses in 5' to 3' direction. And this process involves double-stranded DNA. But the differences is, in prokaryotes, this occurs in cytoplasm and it involves circular double-stranded DNA. But in eukaryotes, this process occurs in nucleus, and here nuclear linear double-stranded DNA is involved. So the next topic is transcription. This is the process of making an RNA copy of gene sequences. So here the similarities are nearly less. The differences are, in prokaryotes, it doesn't require any proteins or factors for initiation. But in eukaryotes, it requires factors for initiation. And in prokaryotes, RNAs are released and processed in the cytoplasm. But in eukaryotes, the RNAs are released and it is processed in nucleus. Next slide. So now the translation. So before going to translation in eukaryotes, there is some modification undergone by mRNA in its post-transcriptional modification. So as I said, in prokaryotes, the transcription and translation occur simultaneously, as the introns does not interrupt the open reading frame in prokaryotes. So in this slide, you can see that the site of transcription and translation in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In prokaryotes, all the transcription and translation process occur in the cytoplasm. But whereas in the eukaryotes, transcription occurs in the nucleus, whereas the translation occurs in the cytoplasm. Next slide. Now the post-transcriptional modification in eukaryotes. So post-transcriptional modification means when the mRNA enters, it has to be modified so that it goes to the translation process. So the first process will be the capping, 5' capping, and the second is the polyadenylation tail, and next one is the RNA splicing. So after this, all these modification in eukaryotes, The eukaryotic mRNA now moves to the translation process. Next slide. So before going to the translation, the genetic code is major important. These genetic code are chemically specified language present on mRNA in the form of codes. That is called the genetic code. So here it is having 64 codons. So all the codons codes for a particular amino acid. So there are some characteristics of genetic code, that is, it is in the form of triplet codon, it is degenerate, unambiguous, non-overlapping, commaless, and the genetic code is universal. Next slide. So now we'll move on to our topic, that is translation. Next slide. So now the introduction. Translation is a process by which mRNA directs protein synthesis with the assistance of tRNA. It is last and important part of central dogma. This process is similar despite having certain differences in case of prokaryotes and eukaryotes. mRNA is decoded in a ribosome to produce a specific sequence of amino acids. It has three steps: initiation, elongation, and termination. All these steps take place from 5' direction to 3' direction. So the elements involved are mRNA, tRNA, ribosomes, amino acid, translation factors like initiation factors, elongation factors, and release factors. Next slide. So now let's know in brief about the required elements. mRNA. So this mRNA is synthesized from template strand of DNA through a process called transcription. These carry the information required for the synthesis of a protein. A translational unit in mRNA is the sequence of RNA that is flanked by start codon AUG and stop codons and codes for a polypeptide. So the stop codons may be AU, UAG, UGA, and UAA. An mRNA has some additional sequences that are not translated and are referred to as untranslated regions, that is UTR. The UTR are present on both 5' and 3' end. So these are required for efficient translation process. So you can see in this diagram the start site, the stop site, the coding region, the untranslated region. Next slide. Now the next required element is tRNA, the adapter molecule. So this tRNA is also known as the adapter molecule. Francis Crick postulated that an adapter molecule would one hand read the code and on other hand would bind to specific amino acid. The tRNA has an anticodon loop that has bases complementary to the code, and it also has an amino acid acceptor end or CCA end to which it binds to amino acid. tRNA are specific for each amino acid. For initiation, there is a specific tRNA referred to as initiator tRNA. Secondary structure of tRNA looks like lower leaf. In actual structure, it looks like inverted L. Next slide. The next required element is ribosome. So these ribosomes are the cell factory responsible for synthesizing proteins in the ribosome. So it consists of structural RNAs and about 80 different proteins. In prokaryotes, ribosome are 70S type. In eukaryotes, it is 80S type. So 70S type has 50S, 50S subunit and 30S smaller subunit. 80S has 60S larger subunit and 40S smaller subunit. When the small subunit encounter an mRNA, the process of translation begins. The ribosome also acts as a catalyst for the formation of peptide bonds. There are two sites in larger subunit for subsequent binding of amino acids. A site and P site. So E site is not much known because after the polypeptide bond formation, the tRNA leaves from the exit site. So this region is not much required or it's not much recognizable. Next slide. So in the below diagram, you can see that majoritarily you can see the A and P site, not the E site, because the tRNA will exit from the E site, so it is not much recognizable. Next slide. So the next required element is the amino acid. So these are building blocks of protein, and several amino acids are linked by peptide bond to form polypeptide chain. Each amino acid is coded by specific codon. AUG codon codes for methionine. It is the initiator codon. Next slide. So now the important enzymes involved are amino acyl synthetase, peptidyl transferase, and translocase. So now we have learned about the required elements of translation and also the definition and the process what goes on in the translation. Now let's go in depth and differences between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic translation. Next slide. So now we'll go on to the prokaryotic translation. So both prokaryotic and eukaryotic translation are a bit similar, but they differ in some factors. Next slide. So mechanism of translation in prokaryotes is involved in 4 steps. That is not like activation. First step is activation. So in most it is not included. So we'll start from initiation, elongation and termination. So in the first step activation, here the correct amino acid is covalently bonded to the correct tRNA. Amino acid is joined by its carboxyl group to 3' OH of tRNA by ester bond with the help of go to before slide. No? Back. Go to first slide of prokaryotic translation. Yes, ma'am. So when tRNA has amino acid linked to it, it is called charged. So tRNA charging is nothing but addition of adenylated amino acid to tRNA. Next slide. Next slide. So now let's move on to the next important step, that is the initiation. Initiation requires large and smaller subunits of ribosome, mRNA and initiated tRNA, and 3 initiation factors, that is IF1, IF2, IF3 and GTP are required in the initiation step. So in initiation, there is a sequence called Shine-Dalgarno sequence. So this sequence is present on prokaryotic mRNA. So this was proposed by in bacterial messenger generally located around 8 bases upstream of start codon AUG. So before start codon AUG, 8 bases upstream, this sequence is present. Next slide. So now we'll go on to the steps included in initiation. IF3 binds to free 30S subunit. So when IF3 is binded to the 30S subunit of the ribosome, this prevents the larger subunit to bind it without mRNA forming an inactive ribosome. So it blocks the larger subunit to bind. So next, IF2 initiation factor 2 complexes with GTP and IF1, that is initiation factor 1, binds to smaller subunits. So this will assist the charged initiated tRNA to bind. 30S subunit attached to mRNA molecule, making use of ribosomal binding site on mRNA. Initiated tRNA can bind to complex by base pairing of its anticodon with AUG codon on mRNA. At this point, initiation factor 3 can be released as its role in keeping the subunits apart are complete. This complex is now called 30S initiation complex. So the 50S subunit can now bind, which displaces IF1, IF2, and GTP is hydrolyzed in this energy consumption step. So this is a energy consumption step because bringing 50S subunit requires energy. So this complex is called 70S initiation complex. Next. So now the assembled ribosome has two tRNA binding sites, that is A amino acyl and T peptidyl sites, and one E exist site for empty tRNA. In A site, incoming amino acyl tRNA molecule binds. In P site, the growing polypeptide chain is usually found. The sites are in left of evaluating subunit and contains adjacent codon that are being translated. One measure of initiation is placement of initiation tRNA in P site. Next slide. So in this picture, you can see that so IF1 and IF3 are binded to the 30S subunit, whereas IF2 and GTP are bound to the tRNA. So after that, at last, in bringing 50S subunit, so all the after entering all the IF1 releases and will have the complex that is 70S initiation complex. Next slide. Now, after initiation, the next step is elongation. So, elongation of translation is carried out by three elongation factors, that is EFTU, EFTS, and EFG. With the formation of 70S initiation complex, the elongation cycle now begins. So the required elements are charged tRNA, 70S initiation complex, GTP, and elongation factors. So it also has three steps, that is amino acyl tRNA EFTU, that is elongation factor TU, is required to deliver the amino acyl tRNA to a site, and energy is GTP. The released EFTU GDP complex is generated with the help of EFTS. In the EFTU EFTS exchange cycle, EFTS displaces the GTP and replaces itself by GTP. The resultant elongation factor TU GTP complex is now available to bind another amino acyl tRNA and deliver it to ribosome. All amino acyl tRNA can form this complex with elongation factor T deletion tRNA. Next slide. So the next step after amino acyl is the peptide bond formation. After amino acyl tRNA delivery, the A site and the P site are both occupied and the two amino acids that are to be joined are close to each other. The peptidyl transferase activity of the 50th subunit can now form a peptide bond between the two amino acids. As we all know that two amino acids are joined by a peptide bond, so here peptidyl transferase is helpful in forming the peptide bond between the incoming amino acids. So the now third step is translocation. A complex of elongation factor G translocase and GTP bind to the ribosome and is an energy consuming step. Even here, it is an energy consuming step, so GTP gets hydrolyzed into GDP. The discharged tRNA is ejected from the P site. The peptidyl tRNA is moved from A site and P site. The mRNA moves by one codon relative to one codon to the ribosome. GTP, GDP, and elongation factor G are released. A new codon is now present in the vacant site. Next slide. So here you can see that how EFTU, EFTS, and EFG are helpful in forming the elongation and peptide bond formation. Next. Now the last and the final part is the termination step. So termination of translation happens when the A site of the ribosome faces a stop codon UUA, UGA, or UAG. So no tRNA can recognizes this, but releasing factors can recognize the stop codon and causes the release of polypeptide chain. In prokaryotes, once a stop codon occupies the A site, three termination or release factors, that is RF1, RF2, RF3, and one special is RRF, that is ribosomal release factor, contribute to hydrolysis of peptidyl tRNA bond. Release of free polypeptide and last uncharged tRNA from P site takes place by RF1 or RF2. When RF1 or RF2 binds the A site, and last uncharged tRNA from the P site. RF3 releases the RF1 or RF2 from A site and releases itself as well from the translation binding site present on larger subunit. Here one thing is to know that RF1 or RF2 mimics the tRNA form. Now the dissociation of 30S and 70S, 30S and 50S subunits takes place by ribosomal release factor. As I said, it is a special release factor. It dissociates the 70S complex into 30S and 50S subunit. Next slide. So this is the diagram of termination step. So as the release factor is joined, so the polypeptides, the tRNA, and the ribosomes are dissociated. Next slide. So this is the overall view of prokaryotic translation. First is activation, by charging the tRNA. Next is initiation, that is bringing the elements like 30S subunit, 50S subunit, and bringing tRNA, mRNA all into one place. And elongation is the bond formation, peptide bond formation. The next step is the termination, that is removal of all the mRNAs, polypeptide chain, tRNAs, and ribosomes. Next step. So after the prokaryotic translation, now we'll move on to the eukaryotic translation. Next slide. So this eukaryotic translation is a bit more complicated than prokaryotic translation. So in prokaryotic cell, transcription and translation are coupled. That is, translation begins while mRNA is still being synthesized. In eukaryotes, transcription occurs in nucleus and translation occurs in cytoplasm. Translation involves activation, initiation, elongation, termination. As said, activation is not essential step. It occurs same as the way in prokaryotes. So how the tRNA is charged, in the same way here also in eukaryotes, same thing happens in activation. Next step. So now the initiation. As in prokaryotes, it is directly the initiation step takes place by the formation of 30S complex and 50S complex, and last will get the 70S complex. But in eukaryotes, we have four more steps, that is formation of 30S pre-initiation complex, formation of 48S initiation complex, scanning of start codon, formation of 80S initiation. To the first step, that is formation of 43S pre-initiation complex. So a ternary complex containing met tRNA and this EIF2 means eukaryotic initiation factor 2 bound to GTP attaches to 40S ribosomal subunit to form 43 pre-initiation complex at P site. EF3 and EF5 bind to the exit E site. EIF1 locks amino acid tRNA addition at A site. So, in the first step, that is formation of 43 initiation complex, there are tRNA, EIF2, 40S ribosome, EIF1, EIF3, and EIF5. Next slide. So the next step is formation of 40S initiation complex. So after 43S, now we'll move on to the 48S. In 48S, it is having mRNA plus 43 pre-initiation complex will give us 48 initiation complex. So here the main important initiation factor is IF4F. That is, it is made up of IF4G, IF4. So IF4 complex will bring and attach to mRNA at 5-methylated guanine camping with IF4E. So we'll get confused. So I'm using only IF here. Poly A tile is folded to form loop-like structure. So the loop formation takes place at the 5' end. So the important factors involved in the loop formation here is the EIF4E. So the translation starts only when this loop opens. Next slide. So now the scanning of start codon. After when the 48S initiation complex is formed. Now it has to search its start codon. So the poly A tile moves to recognize start codon for the attachment with the tRNA. 5 prime, the initiation factor AUG is at the 5 prime end. The next step is the formation of ATS initiation complex. So ATS initiation complex will be formed with the addition of 48S complex plus 60S ribosomal unit. Binding involves hydrolysis of GTP bound to IF2. It is facilitated by involvement of initiation factor 5. As ATS complex is formed, the initiation factors bound to 43S complex are released and recycled. So in this step, all the remaining entities, like all the factors, are removed in this step, so that will be only left over with the ATS and 40S subunits, mRNA and tRNA. So this is the translation initiation complex. So at this step, the loop also opens. So as we learned in the second step, that is 48S uh, initiation complex formation, there is a loop formed by IF4E, that is initiation factor 4E. But now, as we said, all the factors are released. So the loop forming complex, that is IF4 factor, is also released. So now the loop also opens. Next slide. So now, as in prokaryotes, we learned about Shine-Dalgarno sequence. In eukaryotes, we have Kozak sequence. So it is a sequence occurring in eukaryotic mRNA and has consensus like CCC, capital R, CC, A, UGG, and in the parenthesis, that is GCC. Uppercase is because they are the highly conserved nucleotides. And we have written capital R. That is because that is mostly the adenine. That is purines are mainly added at that place. And we have written in lowercase g because it is the most common base. So in parenthesis, why we have written it is because it is having a uncertain significance. So now this play a major role in initiation of translation process. This sequence of on mRNA is recognized by ribosome as the translational start site from which the protein is coded by the mRNA molecule. Ribosome requires this sequence to initiate the translation. It is not to be confused with ribosomal binding site and that are being at 5 prime cap. So as in prokaryotes, that Shine-Dalgarno sequences, here Kozak sequences it also acts as the initiation sequences. Next slide. So in this diagram, you are able to see what is the 43S pre-initiation complex, 48S initiation complex, and 80S initiation complex. All the factors which are here are given in the small box. You can see that in detail. Next slide. Now the next step after initiation is the elongation. Ribosome elongate the polypeptide chain by sequential addition of amino acid. Amino acid is determined by the order of codons in specific mRNA. Elongation, a cyclic process involving certain elongation factors. Elongation may be divided into 3 steps, that is binding of amino acid tRNA to A site, peptide bond formation, and translocation. It is similar as in the prokaryotes. So the first step, that is binding of amino acid tRNA to A site. The ATS initiation complex contains met tRNA in P site and A site is free. Another amino acid tRNA is placed in the A site. So first tRNA will bind to the P site, whereas the A site is joined by another amino acid tRNA. Require proper codon recognition on mRNA and